Dr. Khumoitsile Moetse is the chief ambassador for the Winnie Mandela Cup. She says the Winnie Mandela Cup is not just a women's soccer tournament in honor of struggle stalwart Winnie Mandela Mandela. It's also a humanitarian program aimed at highlighting the battle against gender-based violence and empowering women economically. The tournament is set to take place later this year, and Dr. Khumoitsile Moetse joins us live now in studio to talk about this. It certainly looks like, the pandemic was not only challenging for a lot of people, but also looks like there have been some things that may have been birthed that could then, help the country in the fight against, gender-based violence. Let's talk then about the significance of having to birth such a tournament in the midst of a pandemic. How did it come about?
Sure. Thank you so much, Bongiwe. Look, this has been a long time coming. As you would know, we launched the Africa Media Fund 2 years ago, and part of the vision there really was to invest in media infrastructure, empower women, most importantly, especially those that are in the creative media and broadcasting sectors, with platforms for them to be able to be self-sustaining from an economic point of view. So football, soccer rather, has always been in our radar, has always been part of the plan as far as women empowerment is concerned. So when the pandemic, that is COVID, hit, it obviously highlighted the scourge that is gender-based. It exposed gender-based violence in a very terrible way, whereby, yes, we've had the Karabo Mugwenas of the world that we have seen, succumb to the scourge that is gender-based violence, get killed. However, during COVID, I think it really needed some of us to heed the call to say, okay, what are we going to do with the platforms and the resources and the networks that we have to actually respond to the second pandemic that is gender-based violence? So that is how then the Women's International Football Tournament was born. And we saw it befitting, therefore, to borrow the name of Mama Winnie in her honor and, in honoring her legacy as a struggle icon. The values that she embodied, the values of equality, the values of justice, and the values of freedom, to say it is time, therefore, that we free women from the scourge that is gender-based violence, because until women are free, really, we have not, finished the journey of liberation.
And you talk about using soccer as a catalyst to fight GBV. How is that going to happen at a practical level?
At a practical level, I mean, soccer is sports in general. It's just unifying, and I think almost 90% of the people that I know, at least, watch football, support football, and indirectly or indirectly. So that being a catalyst for social cohesion, we saw it befitting that, therefore, we borrow the sport of football to then talk to men, first and foremost, to say, join us, let us work together to end the scourge that is gender-based violence. So at a practical level, then we will have teams that will be coming to South Africa to play. These are women's national teams that will be playing over a period of 3 days. And obviously then, as we do that, as we build up, even now, there's campaigns that are starting on Tuesday. We have our first official press conference where we'll now be sharing all those details in terms of who's playing against who, what are the codes, sporting codes that we'll be playing towards. We do have support all over the world from all our partners. Black Lives Matter is on board. We've got a lot of partners around the world that are on board to say, now that we have conquered the issue of racism, let's now look at the issue of gender-based violence. So we'll then be preaching that message throughout all the programs that we'll be executing. Starting from Tuesday, there'll be a lot of campaigns that will be running, building up to the tournament. There'll be fundraising activities that will be happening. And most importantly, we want to see a situation whereby post the tournament, legacy projects are born, which is why we will be raising funds through the tournament, that now those funds will be going towards those legacy projects that will live on even beyond the tournament. So I'm talking about, practically speaking, I mean, there's a program in sports where women will be taken on a scholarship to, learn about the business of sports, to be brought into the mainstream sports economy, basically, and digital skills, 4-hour skills will be upskilling women that have been affected directly and indirectly by gender-based violence, giving them opportunities then to upskill themselves so that they are self-sustaining from an economic point of view. So there's a lot of legacy projects that we are doing, and most of it will be partnering, of course, as I said, with the Black Lives Matter movement. And those are some of the things that we'll be announcing on Tuesday.
I know you say that details will be announced in the coming days, but I'm very keen to find out if you can reveal to us exclusively just who is going to be playing, at least one or two. Yeah. One or two teams?
Look, we definitely have Brazil. I can disclose confidently that we do have Brazil, and one of the ambassadors of the tournament is Juliano, who is a former, soccer legend. So we do have Brazil on board, definitely. And we have taken also just a slightly different format to say, look, because we want to be inclusive, we don't want to make this seem to be political or rather, meant to address a certain agenda. Initially, we had interest from the BRICS countries, and we've now opened it up to say, look, we might even see one or two African teams playing there. So all those details will be announced on Tuesday, because we've changed the format completely. And mainly the reason why we changed the format is to be inclusive, to make sure that business can come on board, to make sure that civil society can come on board, the faith movements can come on board. We understand that government is still looking at the issue of COVID, and this second pandemic should therefore be handled by civil society. So we've got young people on board, we've got organizations that will be holding hands with us and making sure that we end gender-based violence in our lifetime, and we empower women economically.
And just very quickly, are rural communities also going to be taken on board? Because there have been concerns there that, some of the cases go unreported, particularly in areas that are far-flung, where police stations are not even close by.
Yes. Look, certainly we will look at making sure that some of those programs, particularly the legacy projects, touch in rural areas. For example, we've got safe houses. These are all partnerships, by the way. We partner with like-minded institutions that are already on the ground doing that type of work, and that's how also we select our ambassadors. So we do have programs that will be touching on rural women. We've got programs that will be touching on widows. We've got a widows program. We've got youth. We've got girl-child innovators. So we've looked at the entire spectrum from an economic impact point of view, and we said, from top down and across value chains in the entire ecosystem of high impact sectors, how do we then make an impact and contribute positively to society? So we will definitely be touching on those, especially when it comes to legacy projects. Some of those beneficiaries that we'll be supporting are actually from previously disadvantaged backgrounds.
All right. Thank you so much for your time tonight. That's Chief Ambassador for the Winnie Mandela Cup, Dr. Khumoitsile Moetse, who was, of course, just talking to us about this tournament and just what form it is going to take when it comes to the fight against gender-based violence, because we have been seeing some, in fact, disturbing headlines as well as disturbing figures there in terms of statistics each time we get crime stats, particularly during the lockdown, where numbers of, gender-based violence cases really, were really alarming, and as a cause for concern there, as some of the activists said, that this is a situation that has now reached emergency level. Let's take a look at some of the headline stories here.